Awesome. Okay, so this morning is our last power up, Texas power up of the entire February. I mean, we are going to go through 2 entire months already. And next week starts the second quarter. And what I mean by starting the second quarter is everything that we're pending starting next week and then on it's all second quarter closings, which is crazy. We're going to go over ahas from the people who went to Keller Williams family reunion today. And what I recommend is picking one item that inspires you to implement like one thing at a time. When I was in Gary's mastermind, what he talks about in there isn't anything that you probably haven't heard, right? The difference between people at the top of the game and people in the middle and people who just are getting started or the people who are restarting is just execution. It's always execution, right, guys? And so life is always about dominoes. You pick the right domino, it'll knock over other dominoes. So what we're doing is just building our foundation. And so as you're hearing our panelists today talk about foundational things, hey, great, what does your business foundation require, right? And perhaps you have a really strong foundation already. So then what enhancement do you need? It's kind of like a house, right? You build a foundation first, put up the walls, start framing, start drywalling. Your business is no different. So let's get started with shout outs. Who's got shout outs this morning for your team? Who on your team is showing up awesome? Like they have results, or maybe they have grit, or maybe they are showing up as leaders, or maybe they are exhibiting teamwork or humility. Just go to your reaction button at the bottom of your screen and then click raise hand. And we'll start with Sharon. Sharon, who are you shouting out this morning?
Hey, I'm shouting out and introducing. We have some new administrative team members throughout our Texas team. So I wanted to just officially welcome Matt Bowles, who joined us in San Antonio a few weeks back, and he is just killing it down there. The team loves him. He is a learner, he's a leader. We just really appreciate his attention to detail, and he's doing an amazing job. And then yesterday we started, or on Tuesday, we welcomed Heike Oval, who is our new operations coordinator in the Dripping Springs expansion office. And she is a breath of fresh air. She just brings a great amount of experience and leadership, is super learner focused, and I'm just so grateful for them and looking forward to how they'll contribute to our teams.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Awesome shout outs. Matt, we're so happy you're here. Heike, we're so happy you're here. Sharon, we're so happy that you are you're stepping in and just doing such a great job with our new hires. So appreciative, so appreciative. Talk about teamwork. Sarissa, good morning.
Morning. How's everybody? I am just shouting out Michaela. Michaela Sawatsky is our operations manager, and she's probably going to get a lot of shout outs because, you know, when you just you think you have a talent and then somebody shows up in a completely different way and you're like, oh, dang, this is talent. And I just want to say, she's not the kind of person that can't wait to clock out at 5. Or, when you see somebody and it's 5:01 and it's 5:01 every single day that they send their end of day report. And that's just not Michaela. And she's the kind of girl that's a doer. And so when we think about moving priorities forward, I'm actually seeing priorities being moved forward. On ops calls, I always get, hey, Michaela's not only doing everything we're asking on our ops calls, but she's actually ahead of the game. And so I just am blown away. I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. And the whole team notices.
I love that. That's such a good comment. A team, right? You have a talent, and then you have someone else come in. You're like, oh, that's what a talent looks like. It's amazing. What a great shout out. Well, lots of operations shout outs this morning. I'm so proud of our people. And it's Gary always says, operations and sales are the same coin, right? 2 different sides, right? And sales is so important, right? And operations is so important. And when they are in partnership together, it is so powerful. I love it. Love it. Anybody else with shout outs this morning?
I could do a quick one.
Yes.
So I've got one for results. Definitely a huge shout out to Shauna Owens and Akash Prakash. Just landed a huge 83-acre property $9.5 million is the expected sale price. So huge shout out for that and results. They've been partnering up on deals using teamwork, which makes a lot of sense because we're on a team.
Yep.
And, also, I would give a big shout out for grit to Kyle. Kyle Bang, he's been putting in like 100 contacts a week for the last at least 3 or 4 weeks. So, just kind of using the formula and definitely getting some results from that, taking down some, multiple listings since the year started. So big shout out to all 3 of those people.
All right. I love that. I love that. The business is certainly out there, which is so awesome to see everyone taking advantage of that. Great job, Dripping Springs. I love it. I love it. There was something that Gary said in a mastermind that you could write down. He said 9 out of 10 organizations culture after 5 years becomes greed, GREED. And the way he defined greed was, what's in it for me and how do I get there the fastest? What's in it for me? How do I get there the fastest, right? He said, left to our own devices, that's where we naturally go to. And so the way we protect against that is you determine your culture up front and you always keep it front and center, right? So that's why we always shout out and we start these meetings just with quick shout outs, just to remember why, what is actually important to us. Like, obviously success is important to us, win, make, give, right? And yet grit and results and leaders and teamwork and wealth building and humility is really like the foundational pillars of who we are as a collective. So super excited. I'm gonna find my panelists this morning because we've got a lot to cover this morning. So I already found one. So I'm gonna go ahead and spotlight one. I'm gonna find all of you here in a second. Let's see, who else do we have? We have Valencia. Let me find you, Valencia. And there you are, ma'am. Let's add you as a spotlight. And I'm going to add Laura, maybe. Haven't found her yet. Maybe you want to speak up, Laura, because I can't find you. But I can find Kayla.
I'm right here.
Oh, hold 1 second. I'm going to. There you are, BKT Midland. That's why I was putting in Laura. I will never
sorry.
find if I. All right. And Bart, you find Bart. There we go. Add that spotlight in. And then Jordan is joining us after. She's got a call that she's on. And then Dawn, do you have anything to add? Did you mean to raise your hand? Yes? No?
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
No, you're okay. I don't want to ignore it. I want to make sure everybody gets their time. I love it. I love it. Okay, so ladies and Bart, you all went to a conference. For anyone who hasn't gone to a Keller Williams convention, what is it like? Can anybody kind of give their thoughts on what a conference for Keller Williams is? Anybody?
In my opinion, Keller Williams Family Reunion is like your first week of college. It's a bunch of people everywhere, a whole lot of information being thrown at you. You have to walk all over the place and you're a little lost, but you're excited and you're learning. It's like drinking from a fire hose your first week in college.
That is I like that. We'll keep that synopsis. Very, very true. And today when everyone shares, the goal is for you to find that your one thing of what is being shared that will help you either with your mindset, with your business, with your sales, with leverage, with any part of it. And then I want you also to write these dates down. Write down April 13 and 14. April 13 and 14. While the Keller Williams convention is great, we have our first place in-person meetup, April 13 and 14, for those who are interested in meeting other place people outside of Zoom. April 13 and 14 in Scottsdale, Arizona, and your team leader has all the information. Definitely a great opportunity for those of you who are interested in meeting in person. So there's only 300 people allowed in the room. Obviously, our company is bigger than that. So I would definitely start looking at that and pre-planning and talk to your team leader about what that looks like and things like that. There's lots of opportunity, but let's get started. So who wants to get started with their ahas? Anybody you want to volunteer to go first?
Sure, I will.
Oh, Bart. Good morning, Bart. Was
Good
this
morning.
your second, like 10th family reunion? How many are we talking?
I don't know, joined KW. My first one was 2011.
Okay.
So most of them since then.
Okay, there you go. So you've been to a few. So I just want everybody to have perspective of where you're coming from. Great. What were your ahas? What were you taking away after all this?
One thing I'll say is I'm a big believer in a lot of the learning and a lot of the training happens outside the room. And I don't just mean network and relationship building, but a lot of it is just random, what seems unimportant conversation you're having with other agents there. And just the things that they say that they just think isn't even important, that all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, okay. So at one point I met Ann Kennedy, said, hi, I'm Bart Cook. And her response was, yeah, you talk on Zoom, I recognize your face. And it just reminded me that getting here and engaged, this is your introduction to everybody. I mean, she already had a soft intro to me because I engaged. So engage on Zoom. This is, I mean, think of it as you're at a networking event. And if you don't engage on Zoom, you just went to a networking event and didn't talk to anybody there. So it was just a reminder to engage, because this is our intro to getting to know everybody before we actually get to know everybody.
I love that. When you're thinking about going to the next conference, any other feedback that you would give people to get better at that part?
Yeah, talk to everybody. I can say in the very beginning, my very first one I went to, I was really purposeful in, I mean, everybody talks about giving your card out to blah, blah, blah. But I was real purposeful in going to the people I saw on panels. It's where I met Seychelle, and now I have a great friendship with Seychelle, and I met her when I was 2 weeks into being with Keller Williams because she was on a panel, and I was like, hey, she's similar to my age, I'm gonna go talk to her. Adam Hergenrother is one of the ones I met at my first one. I was real purposeful in finding the people that were on panels that I knew I wanted to learn from, plus I knew I wanted to build a relationship with because they had people to refer as we grew this thing out.
I love that. Anything else that you took away?
Oh yeah, you just want me to knock all of it out right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
There was a lot of, and maybe this is just because of where I am, but there was a lot of talk of the people you're on the journey with. And so at one point, if you paid attention to the keynote speaker, that's a lot of what he talked about the social connections kind of being the key to happiness, and then the happiness being key to success. And he talked about a hill looks 30% smaller when you're going to climb that hill with another person compared to when you have to climb it by yourself. And in fact, Adeline, you kind of touched on the same thing the day before on a panel when you were asked, everybody was asked for a book, and you basically said, hey, I'm all for books. Books are great, but we kind of self-help ourselves to death. So really my suggestion would probably be find a tribe, go on this journey with a tribe of people going in the direction that you want to go also. So a lot of what I took from this past weekend was the people you're on the journey with.
I love that. We self-help ourselves to death. I love it. Who's next?
Adelina, I'll go next. I'm kind of gonna piggyback off of Bart because I really like that fact that we got to meet so many people in person, especially all of our place teammates. And like Bart said, just speaking to each one of y'all and picking your brain. And I think first person I noticed was Valencia. And so I really enjoy her speaking and the way she talks. Sarissa, I was looking for you. I couldn't find you, but next time I will tackle you down. But it was just picking each other's brains and just, talking about our business, talking about what works best for you, our goals. And so many people gave me so much advice as to what my goal is this year. This is my second year going into real estate. And so for me, it was just meeting everybody. I think Valencia, you said it perfectly right. It was my first family reunion. You kind of don't know what's going on. You don't know where to go. You're like, where do I go? Here. I think Laura told us all the time, are you guys not paying attention to the chat? I'm like, yes, but there's just so much going on. So it was just a little overwhelming, but a lot of information, valuable information. One of my biggest ahas that I took was from the 02 MREA class. It was super packed. People were asked to leave. The fire marshal came in, cops came in to like move people out because there was people sitting on the floor. but just actually going out into our community and actually taking time to pick out those small groups that you mesh the best with. She talked about how she targets young adults. I mean, she's young, she's about in her 25s, and she target young adults. And so she would go to the dog park, she would go to cocktail hour, she would do stuff like that to target a certain specific client. And then what she would do is she would strategically connect with them and see what their interests were. And then based on that, she would create a kind of like a social event. So she would do it quarterly, which I thought was pretty cool. We have certain neighborhoods here in Midland that I think it would work to target these people. And she said we would do like a wreath doing class, a wreath creating class. We would do a painting, stuff like that. And she says the most thing that was so helpful for me was I would say, hey, bring your kids. We have like they would rent a photo booth. And so whenever you take a picture on that, you have to put in your phone number and your email address in order to get the picture. So that is how she started creating her database. Her first year, she wasn't able to sell that much. And the second year, she was able to sell up to 80, I think 80 closings, just based on that. So that was a huge aha for me because we do have certain.
That's huge.
Yeah, we have certain neighborhoods that I think.
Lot.
Yeah, I feel like we have certain neighborhoods that we could possibly target like that. So for me, that was big because I mostly dealt with buyers. So my goal this year is to try to hustle on listings. So that was one of my big ahas for this past weekend.
I love that. So just really being purposeful about connecting with the demographic that interests you. And then second, not just being not just meeting people, because what's the point of that, right? You just made a lot of new acquaintances, right?
Right.
The whole purpose of all of this is to build your database. And so that you can have turn these acquaintances into relationships and relationships to a place where you can add value, right? And it can potentially turn into a referral or a transaction. Love that. Love that. Anything else that you really loved?
So she basically went through 4 steps, which was go small, which is your ideal client, strategically connect, and then you go deeper, and then you do it consistently. And that is the key, is doing it consistently so that they know you, they start spreading the word, they start knowing that, hey, this is the agent in my area, this is the agent that's, anybody that she knows, and so on and so forth. That was a big one for me. I think another big one was just meeting, like I said, networking, knowing that if I ever need anything, there's no reason why I can't reach out. I mean, with all of my team, my place team. So that was a huge aha for me, especially for, we had a newer agent with us that just joined. So I think that was very beneficial for her. And just letting her know, like, hey, if for some reason somebody in our office doesn't know what to do with that, you can reach out to other people on, in place and get the answer figured out. So that was huge for me.
I love that. I love that. Anybody else? Who's Laura or Valencia, Sarissa?
Go next.
What'd you take away?
Go.
Yeah.
I can go next. So I had a lot of ahas, but the most applicable one to our conversation today was a lead conversion conversation that happened. I had the privilege of being in really high-minded rooms, the CEO mastermind, the Gary Keller mastermind, just really, and it was very interesting to me that we are having the same conversations at that level. Can you guys hear me? So I'm just going to share a couple of the things that came from the CEO mastermind, and it was changes to the rules of converting a lead. So apparently now the average click time is 57 times, so 57 seconds. So it's no longer a couple of minutes that you have to connect with those leads before they engage with someone else. It's 57 seconds. 48% of the leads that come in never get contacted, and most leads were converted after the 12th touch.
I just want to pause on that just for a second. We all inherently know speed to lead is important. And you're saying that based on all the research, speed to lead means less than 57 seconds. So you get that new lead and you wait 57 minutes or 57 days. Your competition is not doing that. Your competition is reaching out in 57 seconds. That's winning.
Yeah,
okay,
correct.
And then what percentage of leads never even get called?
48%. According to the research, the leads that come into an agent's database, 48% of them never even get contacted. Either because they don't answer the phone or because the agent doesn't reach out. But
yeah, anybody feel that in their business, right? Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. And then of course, something that really stuck to me was that most conversion happened after the 12th attempt. And so most of our agents call our leads. I'm guilty of this. Most of us call our leads 1, 2, 3 times, and then we trash it because it's not a good lead, or we send it back to the lead coordinator or whoever's handling the big, large account of leads. When the majority of successful agents are making an attempt to reach that person 12 times before they get engagement. So that was huge for me. And they talked about this in both the CEO mastermind and the Gary Keller Top 100 mastermind. So it's not a problem that is a small problem. It's being talked about at the very entry level of an agent that just got the real estate license, and is being talked about in rooms where people are bringing in gross revenue of 1.5 million and above. So it's a conversation that matters at any level of your business. So here's a quote from Steve De La Vega, who was one of the guys speaking about this research, and it was, lead generation has rules. And in the digital era, it has very tight rules. Disobey them at your own peril.
That's a really good one.
So that is my biggest one. That is the one that I will focus on. Of course, I've had a lot of other ahas. Gary Keller said it's usually not a lead problem. It is a leverage issue. You either don't have a system for dealing with that lead, or you're not following your system, or you don't have a person helping with those leads. I apologize for all the background noise.
You can't hear
Very
it.
active. Let's see, what else did I have? Lead fatigue was something that got talked about a lot. And it's this idea that everybody thinks we need a lot of leads in our database, when in reality, the most successful agents keep 50 to 100 good leads in their database that they consistently and systematically market to. So that's it. That's all the value I've got for you.
Who here has more than 100 leads in their database, right? And it gets overwhelming. It's a good aha. Very good aha. Thanks, Laura. Sarissa Valencia.
I'll go next.
What about you guys?
Can you guys hear me all right? I know that's the question.
I hear you great.
Okay. Gosh, I just love Laura. She basically talked about everything I talked about with my team yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it again because it is that important, y'all. And Kayla, you didn't see me because I was there for less than 24 hours. That being said, this is something, you guys, when I'm coaching with Jolene, that she's like, this is your number one problem. This is the number one problem we have to solve in Dallas right now. It is brevity and it is your leads. I want you guys to know something. I've been doing this for 15 years. I didn't buy a single lead till 5 years ago. When we talk about the size of our databases, they're talking, this is something I wrote down consistently. It's like the top agents, just like Laura said, have 100 leads. Now you might have sphere of influence and past clients like in another group, but you've got 50 to 100 people that, like Kayla said, you're going small and you're going deep. You guys, sometimes I think we get so many people in our database that we literally just get overwhelmed and we just stop. We don't call the new ones. We cherry pick maybe the easy ones. And I was one of my agents yesterday, Dwayne, down in the DFW South team. He literally was like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this right now. And he's like, it's so freeing. Like, it's freeing. And some of our top agents right now, y'all, they have like, their database is the smallest database. But guess what? They know those people well that they're working with, and they have them, and then they get them under contract, and then they've got a few more in the pipeline. So I really think there's so much wisdom to this. And I think it's something that will change all of our businesses if we focus. Like I said, I didn't buy a single lead till 5 years ago. Do you want to know why? I did it for my team. I didn't need those leads. I would, whatever, I'll go down that path in a minute.
So Sarissa, would you recommend, like, when you speak of 50 to 100 leads, are you talking about like HOTS and nurtures? Are you talking about
people that you want to stay in contact with that you think, well, I think he said they'll buy in the next year, buy or sell in the next year is the vibe I got. Now I'm sure there's,
Sure.
other ways that people can do it, but yeah, like HOTS, nurtures, watches. And you can hop, I know in our team, you can hop into the bulk account and find some new ones that look like they're doing something awesome on the site, or they're communicating back, put them in your account, and then put somebody back, into the bulk account that maybe hasn't responded to you in 5 months, or they've fallen off the face of the earth, or
Yeah, so ultimately they found that the highest conversion actually happens when you have a select amount of leads that you are working harder than if you have 1,000 leads that rarely get touched, and there's always guilt around not touching them, right? It's almost like you're coming from a negative space every single day.
Oh, 100%. And guys, think about it. These are people. We call them leads. They're people. They're people that want to buy or sell or invest in real estate. And if you were somebody who was reaching out to buy or sell or invest, would you want to feel really important to that person? Or would you want to be contacted like once every few months, or, no, that wouldn't be who you'd work with. You'd be working with the person that seemed like they actually cared. 48%, Laura may have hit on this, but or maybe it's like 42% of people are talking to bots. So a lot of times they think they're talking to a bot. The quicker you can humanize yourself, whether it's with video, hey, it's Sarissa, I just got your text. I'm actually like a realtor just down the road. How can I help? And because they think they're talking to a robot, which is why you're getting so many stops or ignoring you. Valencia is the pro on all of this, so she's probably like, whatever, but and my notes aren't picking up. But the other thing I saw was 78% of the time they work with the first agent they talk to. So kind of like one of you said, we've got 57 seconds or something before they're on to the next thing. How quickly are you getting to them? Because if you talk to them and connect with them, guess what? The next person that calls, they're probably going to say, oh, I'm already working with somebody. And I'm watching you guys through Brivity, and like we're letting Brivity do all the texting for hours. And I don't see calls happening in there. So we've got to remember, these are people. They want to be talked to. They think we're robots. Humanize yourself, reach out quickly. I like an 80% success rate, 78%. If I know they're going to work with me, if I'm the first agent they talk to, like that's a really good return.
That's a huge percentage. Huge percentage. When I think about that, Sarissa, I'm thinking like, there's a part of, so there's a reason we are not doing what we know we should do, right? There's a reason for it, right? And it's not right or wrong. So like, there's no judgment around it. The reality is, if we had a big enough like sphere of influence where we didn't need any other leads, then we wouldn't worry about this. But the reality is, if we want to close, 50 deals this year, 30 deals, if we haven't identified the people in our sphere who are going to transact with us, that means we need to, maybe only 5 will transact with us from our sphere this year. That means we have a gap of 25. And if we're not taking these relationships seriously, and by seriously 57 seconds, and 12 times to try to get in contact with that person, then it's all of this is so pointless and there's so much guilt around it and it doesn't feel good. And all of a sudden you're like, why am I even doing real estate?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So a lot of my takeaways, like every single person, you guys, these were top people running massive businesses, all having like this same theme. And I loved Cody Gibson actually was on stage talking not about this, but he talked about his own story, like growing up and just rejection in general. And the quote I wrote down from him was that remember that people aren't rejecting you, they're just rejecting the conversation. So like they just don't want to have the convo with you right now. Like they're not rejecting you. And so many times we take it personal and then like our whole day is screwed up and we won't make any other conversations or we don't reach out to other people. So they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting the conversation. Just literally be like, thank you, have a nice day. Or even if they hung up on you, I love my mom's habit, Sally Reed. She, even if they've hung up and cussed her out, she's like, have a great day. And she smiles and picks it up to call the next person. And I just think it's such a good habit to get into. I'll leave you with this. The last theme I saw throughout everybody was this theme of giving back, and giving without expecting something in return, whether it's information, conversations, just your heart to give. And so realize when you're calling your leads, your people, you're just like, what can you give them? And even if it's just a smile and a hello, that might be all they need that day. So just think about giving, and the law of reciprocity will bring it back to you.
I love that. Thank you, Sarissa. That's awesome. Valencia, are you ready?
I'm ready. Good morning, everybody. So my takeaways
Good morning.
are a little bit different. And hi, and Jordan has been on me about listening to conversations and taking the information to make it something I could use in my role as an ISA. So a lot of the conversations with stats and different things, I have had the opportunity to sit with Jordan and to make them scripts. So it's easier to take what I learned from family reunion and to implement it in my role, because the destination is still the same. We just need to adjust the conversation. Like consider someone doing work on the roadway, right? We still need to get to Disney, but we just have to take an alternate route to get to our destination. So with all of the buyers that are wanting to buy, but they've decided we're gonna wait. I just wanna wait. That's awesome. You know, Anthony, thanks for letting me know that you wanna wait. But the historical average mortgage rate was 6%. And our parents way back then most likely bought their first home at 18%. But did you know, Anthony, that now the mortgage rate is 4%? So what are you waiting for? It's the best time to buy right now. And then if they decide, well, we don't know where to go or where do we find a house, we have some really great creative ways. And that's why we should sit down and talk about customizing your purchase plan. So that was huge, the mortgage rates then and then now. And then the second thing was about foreclosures. I don't know about where you serve, your service area. Foreclosures have been a huge topic of conversation because a lot of buyers are thinking the foreclosures are going to hit. All of the banks are going to buy back the houses and there's going to be so many foreclosures. But the average rate of people upside down on their mortgage is 6%. Right now, the percentage of Americans underwater is only 2%.
Wow.
So only 2% of homeowners are actually underwater on their mortgage. So everyone waiting to buy foreclosures is not going to happen because homeowners have accumulated so much equity in the last few years that even if they did lose their job or all of their income just suddenly stopped, they still have enough time to sell the home, cash out on their equity before the bank even gets their hands on the property. So foreclosures aren't coming as quickly as consumers anticipate. So you're waiting for nothing. Now is the time to buy because it's not, foreclosures just aren't going to happen, right? And so the other thing which I found very helpful was according to the National Association of Realtors and all the research Gary and his team did, they found that the average agent last year sold less than 8 homes. It came in at like 7.8, right? So you can't sell 0.8 of a house, but less than 8 homes. Last year, our team, we sold over 200 homes with only 10 agents. So when you do all of the numbers and you figure out the math, right? Each agent on our team helps 3 times more families than the average agent. So that's really important to me and my job because I get to tell a consumer like, hey, Kelly, you should really work with our team because each agent on our team sells 3 times more homes or helps 3 times more families than the average agent. And I know you're concerned about working with the team, but look at how efficient we are. In the same 365 days that the other agent got, where they sold less than 8 homes, each agent on our team sold 30. Like, we are who you need to work with. So those conversations about all of the stats that Gary and different people shared during family reunion helped me in my role to compile scripts, because the destination is still the same, but I just got to adjust the conversation, right? And then, of course, for sell by owners, only 87% of homeowners use the realtor, and that's an all-time high. So less and less people, homeowners, sellers, are deciding to sell it themselves, which helps us as realtors. We don't have to compete so much with for sale by owners because they're dwindling out, right? Less and less people are deciding to go that route.
I love that. I love how you take information and you add insight, right? Information without insight is just data, right? But information with insight is so powerful. And I love how you compared and contrasted all of that. Thank you for that. Oh my gosh. Because you know what? Like, okay, Valencia's job, like main role is ISA. Guess what? Guess what? Your jobs for the first 2 hours of the day, right? If your team doesn't have an ISA, guess what your job is? You are the ISA. Congratulations. So therefore, this was really, really impactful. Thank you, Valencia.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Jordan, you want to wrap us up with your ahas this morning?
Yeah, absolutely. So couple things. One of the things said in Gary Keller's breakout on the 18th was new levels equals new devils. I've heard Chris Suarez say we suffer more from problems of abundance, and it's so true. The things that you're taking for granted today or you're complaining about today, you were praying for once upon a time. And so I think that's really important to keep that at the forefront of our mind, because we are paid in relation to the problems that we solve. And so bigger problems, guess what? Means bigger paychecks. That's so exciting. And yet sometimes we're just so frustrated that the day doesn't go as easy, or the market's not as easy as it used to be, whatever the case may be. So new levels equals new devils. And I thought that was really just a cool way to look at the problems that we face and the challenges that we're in. I know you guys, and I apologize, I had a coaching call with my coach before this. I'm sure you guys probably covered the economic update and if we're in a bubble or not. Yes or no's? Oh, okay.
Yeah, with some of it, you can totally go into anything that stuck out to you, because you may have heard it differently. Your perspective might be different.
Yeah, so Gary said we're not in a bubble, but we're starting to blow one. He predicts 3 to 5 years and says that we should be alert for loose lending. That's what should be an alertness. However, if it's 3 to 5 years, if you think about that and the market improves 10% every year, which is the trend that we've been on or more, right? If somebody's going to wait until the bubble bursts to purchase, as opposed to right now, if the market goes up, let's say it goes on for 5 years, it's going to go up by 50%. So a home worth $300,000 now will be worth $450,000. And then let's say at that point it contracts 20%. You're still ahead by 30%, right? And so all of those things are great conversations to have when you're talking to somebody. But if inflation is happening, then your dollar is worth less. However, your home is worth more. So if you take your dollars and you put them into homes, then you get to ride the inflation wave. In fact, we're outperforming inflation as opposed to keeping your dollar, and actually it's worth less and less and less and less. So they should be taking their dollars and investing them in any way that they can, whether that's additional properties or the stock market, et cetera. And so he also talked about inflation favors the rich. And I had never really thought about that before. That in times of inflation, that is when you do have cash or spending ability, et cetera, it's actually in favor of the rich. So just kind of an interesting perspective. I've really never thought about inflation and who it affects. That the current market we're experiencing is due to overstimulation. I kind of wondered, why are we in this market? It's weird, it's funky. And he just talked about basically we overstimulated the economy in fear that it was going to collapse in COVID. And therefore what we are experiencing is an overstimulation. I heard in a breakout session that it's our job to show up for the job and pay that we desire to have, not the one we currently have. So thinking about how you're showing up in your world, is it for the role that you intend? Are you giving the impression of what you, even your current role or your future role that you desire? Is that the impression you're leaving with people? So that does matter. Our language becomes our experience. This was talked about in the keynote speech about about happiness. And, you know, our language creates the environment around us, and showing gratitude. He talked about, you know, writing gratitude every morning and developing that. And if over 6 months, if you did that and you exercised with another person every day for 60 minutes, it's shown to have the same effects as the highest producing antidepressant over a 6-month time period without any of the like drawbacks, right? And so we really can, through our language and through our behavior, we really can design our future experience such that we live happier, more fulfilled lives. But it all starts with the language that we use, the vocabulary we use around our situation. Is this an opportunity that we get to handle, or is this something we have to handle? The Hill study that he talked about, where people perceived a hill 30% less steep when they were going to tackle it with a partner. That was really interesting to me, because basically hard things are perceived less hard when we have people around us and confidence that they're going to do it with us. And that just really goes back to this whole partner conversation and what we have at place. And you know, there really isn't a hierarchy. It really is a band of incredible partners that link arm in arm to achieve some incredible things and tackle really, 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 really steep hills. And so that was really cool in our partnership, not only with Ben and Chris and the whole team there at Place, our partnership together in Texas, our partnerships with each other. And it was just interesting that it is, if you look at what Valencia said about our agents do 3 times what the average agent does. If you look at that, I mean, we're achieving bigger things because we're linking arm in arm, and things are perceived less hard, and we can actually do more and go further. And hopefully it does lead to a higher happiness rate in doing that together, because I think about that steep hill, and I think about the antidepressant conversation that, you know, together, hopefully we're shouldering life together and shouldering business together. And therefore we do lead these happier, more fulfilled lives. To me, that's what Place in this partnership is about.
I love that, because a lot of the conversation I was hearing, you know, with being around, you know, all these people, really great people, by the way, around family reunion, they are still thinking that we joined an expansion team. Like, that is still kind of a lot of the verbiage being used. And I would challenge that. I think none of us joined an expansion team. I don't think any of us even joined a team. We all partnered together, and partnerships, just like in life, just like in a relationship, are exponential. They, everything you just said just goes to really break that down in such, I was looking at the numbers. I love numbers. $3.8 billion in sales last year for all of our Place agents, but what was it, 100 and something million in revenue, right? And 100 and something million in revenue divided by 500 something agents we had like all year last year, that's like $102,000 net income on average. Net income. Not only are they more fun partnerships, they're also more profitable. So
Well,
that's
think
really
about
cool.
it, Adelina, especially if you're dividing by people, if 20% are new, you can even take that out of the equation, right? Because we're growing our teams by 20%. So you don't even get to factor them into the actual production. So it is wild what we can achieve together. And there's a lot of people getting out of the business and looking at getting jobs at this time. And we're so lucky to be in this position. And I think sometimes because we are in this, culture, even sometimes we take for granted the fact that there are agents out there struggling. There are agents out there that aren't sure where their next paycheck is going to come from, and they're trying to pick up extra cash and things like that. And that is just not the culture that we exist in. But it's easy to pass a buyer who's a $200,000 buyer, they're never going to find a home, or FHA or whatever. But there's a ton of people that would love to have that opportunity. And so we are suffering more from problems of abundance here together.
Oh yeah. I like the second you said that, I was like, oh, there it goes. We're suffering from problems of abundance. Man, right on. That's awesome. I'm so glad you got to join us this morning, and you fitted us in after all of the other stuff you had going on this morning. That was great. One of the things I wrote down when I was like thinking about all of this was, I think, I don't know who said it. I would love to give credit to the right person, but someone said, well, number one of the top people 5 years from now is just getting their license, right? And so like we look at a lot of you to Jordan's point, right? Like 20% of our teams are new, right? And they are the next top agents, which is really, really great. Here is what they said. Let me see. I'm looking through my notes, and it was, well, I can't find it, but either way, it was, have you been in the business 5 years, or have you been in the business 1 year, 5 times, right? And so the reason I say that is because we are so, gosh, Gary said, we don't have a problem of resources. We have a problem of resourcefulness, right? Everything we want to achieve in our business life has never been easier than this moment in time. And I'm not saying it's easy as in you don't have to work. I'm saying that the resources are insane. Compared to any other point in history, and the partnerships with everyone on this call. I mean, there's like, I don't know how many people, 93 people on this call, like everyone always willing to help, and just, there's no reason for you to have the same year 5 times in a row, right? Like it's like you have so much success waiting for you. We talked a lot about coaching and consulting and the differences around it. I'll read one little thing that I wrote down on it, and then like I'll let you guys go because you guys have things to do this morning. But it was, coaching means coaching to the appointment. And once you master appointments, coaching means coaching to listing signed. And once you master listing signs, coaching means coaching to pendings. And then once you master pendings, coaching means coaching to business growth, right? And if coaching lasts more than 10 to 15 minutes, it's not coaching anymore, it's therapy. Because when you're watching like a football game, it's like if the quarterback has to go to the sideline and the coach says something, he's not there for like 20 minutes. He's like, hey, da-da-da-da, and then like the play improves, right? Like that's coaching. Otherwise, like sometimes we have therapy sessions. And not that we don't care. Everyone cares about each other so much, which is what makes us so powerful and so human, right? And yet over and over and over again, when the thing keeps coming up every week, it's the same thing. I would encourage you to make it normal, to make it like just part of your like mindset. Like it's a healthy mindset that if you're running into the same psychological thing over and over, if you know what to do and you're not doing it, it's something up here, it's not anything else. Like therapy is good. Energy work is good. Like self-care is good, right? If your foot was broken, you would fix it. You would go to the doctor, right? And often we let weeks and months and years go by, and we know we should call that lead. We know that we should work on that listing presentation. We know how to do those things, and we know what we need to do. And there's something stopping us. And it's healthy to be healthy, right? And there is no taboo around getting the kind of help that you need. We all need it. So anyway, I just that was on my mind, and I just wanted to share with you guys. Any parting thoughts from anybody that was on panel this morning? Any parting thoughts?
One thing I wanted to share, Adelina, that
Yeah.
it might sound like a total rookie comment, but something that Ben told me that he shared with me was that I literally have not done. So he's like, work your pendings, like every single client that you already have pending, work them and be like, hey, by the way, who do you know that's looking to buy a house? Who do you know that's looking to sell a house? Like, I would really appreciate you, giving me their name or their number, just so that I can reach out. That's something that I have not done in my entire first year. So I wonder how many deals I probably missed out on. So that for me was a huge aha.
I really like that. I like that a lot. Any other parting thoughts from anyone?
I would say there's energy and collaboration. I think everybody who went to family reunion left with like a renewed energy to get after it. And so, you know, the place, I think you were mentioning it earlier, Adelina, like the place partner gathering is coming up, and there's energy in networking. There's energy not only for your business, there's opportunity, right? But also just a renewed sense of energy. And so if you're feeling that lull, I would encourage you to get out there, and it's worth, you know, let's say the whole thing costs you $1,000, but you end up with a referral from it, right? So it well pays for itself 4 times over. So that's a great ROI. But the energy that you're going to get and bring back to your business and be refreshed and renewed, and know that there are people walking alongside you that are struggling with the same things is just really beneficial to get out and get in that world.
I love that you said that, because we are all business owners, right? Remember, nobody joined this team. We're all in partnership, right? We're all our own CEOs, right? And so Gary would always say, your business grows to the extent you do, right? And then we can add to that, right? Our business grows to the extent our leaders grow, right? Your business, if you're in sales, your business grows to the extent that you grow your referral partners, your sphere, right? Like what value are you coming with every month, every quarter, right? So that they are growing, so that they can continue to be a resource for you, right? Like everything is about growth. And when you put yourself in these rooms, it's valuable. It's valuable. It's never about a cost. It's only a cost when when you don't do anything with it. It's an investment otherwise. Love that. Love that. Anybody else have anything, or are we good?
I just, real quick to piggyback on that, I've never left a conference without at least one referral. And so I think if you think about the cost of it, it's a scarcity mindset versus an abundance mindset. And let's just say it does cost $1,000 and you leave an average, commission is 4,500, like in my pocket net. It's more than pays for itself. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I received a referral from somebody I met 5 years ago at family reunion that we've stayed in contact with. And it's just really exciting. And I hope everyone takes the opportunity to go in April.
I love that. So it's April 13th and 14th. We would love to see as many people there. It's so much more fun. It's open to non-place agents. So this is it's the Built How conference that Ben and Debbie DeGroat is putting together. And it is open to in fact, it is probably for non-place people, but they only have 300 spots, right? And so it is important that you start looking at that and making your travel plans, and your team leader has the information on your tickets. And then I was going to say something about this, and I think my brain just stopped for a second. Yeah, it sure did. And I don't even know where that went. But it would be really just a blast. Oh, I know what I was going to say. Last year in Austin, we closed 151 agent referrals, 151 agent referrals, 151, 151, not 15, not 11, 151. It is the result of what Sarissa just said, of what Jordan just said, of what everyone on this call just said. It is a result of decades of time put into relationships, of meeting people we met 7 years ago, 10 years ago. It's not a result of what we did yesterday, right? Anything that we did this week, I mean, it could possibly show up this week. That'd be great. But just like any other lead, if it doesn't close tomorrow, that's okay. I'm in it for the relationship. I'm in it for the long haul. This is a business. This isn't freelance work, right? If we want to get paid like a CEO, we got to start acting like a CEO. And CEOs take the long range view. I love it. Love it. Good morning and good rest of your day. And we will see you next week. We're going to talk about leverage next week. So that'll be fun. And then we'll just continue talking about leverage, and then profit, and then lots more fun stuff. So have a good rest of your day, guys. Such a pleasure always talking to you guys. Thank you to our panelists who always bring it. It was awesome. Thank you, guys. See you later.
Thank you.